Hey everybody, it's Kendell Lenice. Welcome to Kendell Lenice Live. I'm so happy that you decided to join us today. Well, today we know the movie Love and Basketball, right? Love and basketball, trying to balance sports and love, especially when you're playing on a high level. How is that when it comes to navigating your career sport and your love life? What kind of falls behind? We're going to talk about that with our panel today, as this is a Condelanice live panel discussion. Y'all know I love panel discussions, and I have a plenty. So if you've missed my last one, I just had one yesterday, just had one last week. So we're doing the month of November, nothing but our panel conversation. So do me a favor and subscribe right now, like and comment. If you have a question during this live show, definitely ask. Let's get started. All right, I just want to make sure my guests are there waiting. I just want to, can everybody hear me? Okay, she can hear me now. Yay! All right, all right, all right. We are going to get started. Who do I want to introduce? Well, let me introduce professional and college coach Anthony Washington. I'm going to allow them to give you their accolades. But first up, Anthony Washington.
Hello, Kendell. How you doing? Anthony Washington once again. College coach, currently at Newberry College. Also coached World Track and Field Championships in the 2016 and the 2019 World Championships. Also the World Masters Track and Field Championships.
Well, welcome to Kendell and East Live.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to introduce everybody. If you can take the time now, if you like to make sure you share this on your social medias as I introduce the rest of the panel. So next up, I have a pro football player and actor, CoCo Hillary.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? What's going on?
Hey, CoCo, tell the audience a little bit about everything that you've done in your illustrious career and you're still doing.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm first of all, I'm blessed. Thank God for everything that He's done for me. But I was able to, I'm 34 years old now. In high school, I was able to win a state championship for my high school, Strom Thurmond High School in South Carolina. I won 2 national championships at Appalachian State University up in Boone, North Carolina, back in 2006 and 2007. And went on after that, play a couple, different kind of pro leagues and things like that before I then got into coaching for a few years professionally. I was doing some stuff with some prep schools and some high schools, and then make a long story short, for about 8 years now, I've been acting, and over the last 3 years, my acting career has really blossomed. I've been in several major productions, and I just got finished a stage play here in Augusta called Build a Man. So I'm still working, still, auditioning, still doing my thing. But now I've transitioned from football into thespianage, which is a whole different category. So it's been a blessing. It really has.
I love that. I love that. And we're going to talk more about that for sure. Next up, Tocatta Murphy. She is a bronze medalist, national champion, but I'm going to allow her to give her resume to you to introduce herself. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Tocatta Murphy. I am currently a coach, a cross country and track coach at Johnson and Wales here in Charlotte. It's my second year. Before then, I coached middle school and high school and girls on the run. And I've been an athlete, a master's athlete for the last 14 years. And I actually have the American record in the 400 and women 50 to 54. But I've been in the top maybe 3 to 5 of the world since I've been running, and that's since I turned 40. So I train with my college kids and my high school kids, it kind of keeps me young. So, and I'm also a personal trainer, but I don't do too much personal training. So, besides coaching, so.
I absolutely love that. I'm trying to decide who I want to start with. So right now, you can let your friends and family know if you can. I'm not sure if you're on your phones, and I know sometimes it's difficult. That we're live now. I'm going to put it's on Facebook and it's streaming on YouTube right now. So they can catch it now. They can catch the playback. But this is going to be a great conversation. I want to ask you, starting with you, Tocatta, when Anthony said, hey, I want you to come on the show and to talk about love in sports, what was the first thing that you thought about?
Well, the thing is me being over 50, it's very hard for me to find someone my age that that loves actually exercising, and instead of just sitting down and on the couch and watching sport or something like that. I want somebody active, but it's pretty hard to find somebody that is supportive and active at the same time of me as a masters athlete. So it's just been kind of difficult for me.
Yeah.
So
you don't look over 50. I guess CoCo is the baby of the bunch.
yeah.
Because both me and Anthony are over 52. I don't know if you all know, but Anthony and I ran high school track together.
Oh
Wow,
yeah.
wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
at two different schools. We both were fast. We both got our medals. I mean, when I think about mine, I think about Tocatta. I'm not even going to mention mine because mine are nowhere near professional level. And I didn't, I wasn't the first or the black or so all the awards that you have. But Anthony, I'm gonna ask you. So we had this conversation and we were talking about love and professional sports or playing professional or high level sports and trying to find love or maintain love. So what are your thoughts on that? And then I'm going to go to CoCo. And then we're going to.
The funny thing is that I'm gonna go back to when we ran. Let's go back to that. And the first thing came was the popularity that you're good. You ran the county championships. You did well. I did well at county championships, and we pretty much got a chance to discover who we were at a very young age. And
you're breaking up a little bit. You got a little feedback.
Okay, is that better?
I don't know if you have a phone near the computer, or I'm not sure.
Let me turn off the computer. But what I could tell you is that a lot of times when we were younger, you discover that you have something that you're good at. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that happens is when you find someone that's interested in you and wants to be with you, it doesn't come with the sport. It kind of comes with you just want to be with someone, you're happy, but they don't have the same drive that you have. They don't have the same interest that you have. Mm-hmm. And as time goes on, you find love in life, you get married, and then guess what? You really find that opportunity to really be good at what you're doing. But what happens is you just don't realize that that person is not into what you're into or have the same drive that you're into.
Yeah.
And that becomes a problem at times. So that's kind of like trying to find a balance of making that person feel safe in the relationship, as well as being in a situation where you find love with someone, but at the same time, they support you 100%. That's the difficult part of it,
Okay. So CoCo, what about you? And I know you're in two different, right now, you're even in a whole different space when it comes to professionalism and acting. That's a whole different beast. But what did you find most difficult when you were training, when you were being the best at what you were doing in football, and when you decided to try to date or to be? I'm gonna let Anthony fix that because I can't hear. Okay, So I'll let him get that together. So, CoCo, when you were dating or when you were trying to pursue love and also pursue your passion, what was that like? And which one did you give the most energy to?
Well, it's only 24 hours in a day, and when you talk about being a professional at anything, you it's time consuming, just like a relationship, just like love. It's something that it takes time. It takes a certain level of appreciation for the two in
Mm-hmm.
order for it to work, in order for those two to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it, difficult, especially playing sports and now even acting too with rehearsals and things like that, being on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Just finding that balance is the hardest thing because just like you guys were all touching on, it's hard to find someone to actually relate to what you're doing. Not only relate, but have the same drive, have the same goals, have the same ambition, have the same level of fortitude that you do for your career as they do for their own too. So you can both kind of understand. So just finding that balance is the toughest thing when it comes to finding love and things like that. When it comes to being a professional, I'm 34 years old and I've never been married before, and I think it has a lot to do with my drive, my ambition, my goals for my future, and
Yeah.
not being able to sit down necessarily right now and be in a steady relationship because it's hard to find somebody that understands that balance and understands that ebb and flow when it comes to making it work. No doubt
Yeah.
about it.
Do you
Yeah.
find that, and that's a good point, but do you find that as an athlete, there's a certain level of discipline, there's a certain level of, and I want to talk to Tocatta about that too, and she's saying that some people just don't have that drive or that ambition or even that will to do things. And do you find that in a professional sport that it's a different mindset that you have and maybe possibly the people that you're pursuing or pursuing you just don't have that?
Yeah, well, I think as athletes, I think we grow up so trained minded for greatness, for excellence, that you're gonna do what's necessary. You're gonna get up early in the morning. You're gonna spend extra time in the evenings. You're gonna go to the gym. You're gonna eat right. You're gonna do the things that normal people just don't do. And it may seem unorthodox or it may seem a little over the top to everyone else when to you it's just normal. So
Yeah,
that level of norm, so that level of normalcy is hard to find in somebody else's lifestyle
yeah,
when it comes to comparison. First of all, that normalcy is hard to find in someone else's lifestyle because somebody else may think that you're overdoing something that's overexerting when it's
yeah,
necessarily doing what you've just been trained to do all your life. And
yeah,
when I say transition from an athlete to an actor, I use the same premise and the same principle that I did as an athlete that I do as an actor. So those same kind of things that drove me then drive me now. So finding that person that understands that balance and understand that normalcy in that is pretty difficult these days, no doubt about it.
I love that. And I want to ask you about that because as we're talking about, playing on love and basketball and doing that, you're almost like the professional part of the sport, but then the love part because of the movie. So you could be able to see both. But I like what you said, and I
Yeah.
want you to expound on that. What do you mean that same type of discipline or that same type of drive? What's the same? What's parallel when you think about professional sports, coaching, and being in movies? Because like you said, you've been in several movies. So what's the parallel you would say?
Well, what's parallel is the fact that you want to come off to the audience or to whoever's watching. You want to come off as professional as you can. You want to come off as more prepared as you can. You want to come off looking like and you've been there and you've done that. And in this situation, you want to make sure that everybody sees that through you and through your performance and through your talent. Because if you're not, it's easy to notice that as well. So on just like just like playing on Saturday, you don't want to be sloppy. You don't want to go out there missing plays, missing balls. You don't want to go out there and make and see and for everybody else to see that you're not actually in a place of preparation. And that's the same thing when it comes to thespianage and acting. You want to be prepared for each moment. You want to be professional as you can be. You want to show up on time. You want to leave you want to leave late to make sure people know that you're putting in the work and the effort. And that's what it is. And that's what and all of that things are parallel to a relationship as well. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so you put in the correct time, making sure that person perceives you as the person that they want to see themselves with for the rest of their life, or want to be with for the rest of their life because of what they see in you, in your professionalism towards the relationship. So I think those things parallel with one another each and every time, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to get to my other sister on the panel, Tocatta. I want to talk to you about that because I'm 51 and I feel you on that. I really, really do, because that's an age where over 50, we still feel young. We still
Right.
look young. We still have a lot of life. We're not these, it's this 50 is different from 50s 20 and 30
Right.
years ago. Would you agree?
Yes, I do.
And what you said at the top of the show is trying to find love. Okay, for people that just tuned in, let them again give some of those accolades. You know, my sister on here, she was doing it. Give some of those so they can understand, and then I'm going to parlay into the other part.
Well, I'm currently running Masters track and field. And even though I'm older, I still train as a professional athlete. Maybe different than a younger professional athlete, because of course there's a difference because of age, but I still train. I'm very disciplined in eating. I don't miss a training. I can't, it bothers me when I miss a training. So I'm very regiment when it comes to my training and eating and making sure I get my sleep. And, most people don't understand that. And what I was saying was being 50 plus and trying to find someone who is just as disciplined, that has the love for just staying in great shape and staying active, and finding someone that can support me in what I'm doing. A lot of people tell me I'm too old. And I'm like, too old for what? Everything still works.
Well,
So, and I still run with college kids. So, until I can't walk anymore, I'll probably continue running. I swear every year I say I'm gonna retire, and I'm still running. So, uh, but so it's just hard to find someone my age, and I'm just not uh, really into dating someone 10, 15 years younger than me.
yeah,
But to find someone just as active as I am, that is basically what I have to look at, which I'm not, but I'm just saying that's what I would have to look at. So it
yeah,
would be great if I can find someone that's just as active my age. And most times, unfortunately, the men who are about my age, when they're in great shape, they usually go for the younger women. And so it's hard finding someone my age that can keep up with me.
yeah. And
So,
but let me tell you, honey, you making some great points because and this is not every man, but some of the pop bellies start coming. Some of
mhm.
the I'm gonna eat what I want because I'm this age, or this is a time in my life I did that already, and now I want to live. I want to eat what I want. I want to do what I want. I want to sleep or not sleep, and everything that may affect the health. Or you got somebody diabetes happening, or uh knee replacements or you know what I mean, certain things. And even though that's not old, but you are meeting people in your 50s that are getting knee replacements and different things that are happening, so they probably look at you as intimidating. So I'm sure that is a challenge, and then on top of that, not wanting someone younger
Right.
in trying to do that. I know that there's somebody out there though that's running like you, maybe not running like you, but doing that. Is it
Yeah.
discouraging?
It is. It is. I basically haven't really been dating for the last 3 years. And I'll may start to go out with somebody, and then they get intimidated. And I was talking to Anthony earlier today, and we were talking about where someone is just, they're like, oh, I have someone my age, and they're in shape, and they're just so excited to have someone that's fit. But then they talk themselves right out of the relationship, because all of a sudden, when they're not in the greatest shape, they just kind of talk themselves out of the relationship. Well, I'm not as fit as all the athletes that you're around, or and they start looking at it that way, and it's just like, all you gotta do is get up and start exercising, and I'm fine with that. I don't expect everybody to be at my level, especially at my age, but to be fit somewhat, and also
Yeah.
be open to taking care of themselves. Because, like you said, a lot of people, men and women, will say, "Well, I'm 50. I'm old. I'm gonna eat what I want to eat." And this is the time where we need to be eating healthier at this age, so we can
Yeah.
live a little longer and be more comfortable while
Yeah.
living. We want a great quality of life. Quantity is
That's
not
it.
the biggest thing; it's quality. So if you
That's it.
can't walk in the bed starting at 60 and you're there for 20 years, that's no fun.
That's it.
So
It's so true. You know what? It's so true. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Mm-mm. But while she's adjusting that, Anthony, I want to talk to you because even as you've been running track as long as I have, like I stated earlier, we ran high school track together for 2 different high schools. Shout out to Pleasantville High School in New Jersey, and shout out to Oakcrest High School in New Jersey, and Mays Landing, New Jersey. So we ran together. Of course, he was on boys. I was on girls, obviously, because now, it's different, I think. But in some schools, but we started running even obviously before high school. So, Anthony, when you think about dating through high school and then finally meeting your wife,
okay.
was there a challenge there when it comes to like when you're dating and you started dating as you started getting more involved with sports on a professional level, and then you started dating? Was there some type of pushback to some people or turn off to others when you saw them not, maybe like Tocatta was saying, like training is hard or being as mindful and as disciplined?
You wanna hate me for this because you probably know the person I might be talking about. We're going to stay
Uh-oh.
off the air on that. But it's funny because back in the off season is when I dated. The track season, I broke up with the person I was with. You know what I'm saying? Which was mean.
Oh, you have to tell
But
me offline who that was.
yeah, yeah.
If I
You
know.
probably know the person. The funny part
Uh-oh.
about it, when we broke up right before the track season started because I just wanted to be focused. I didn't want the distraction. I didn't want to possibly somebody getting pregnant. I didn't want any distraction. So the entire track season, I just kind of chilled, man, and just did what I had to do. Went to class, went to work. When I didn't have to have track meets and stuff like that, I stayed focused. In college, it was more or less like dating people that were like almost in your sport, but then y'all didn't have time to talk because that person's in the sport too, not the same sport. Like maybe she's playing basketball, I'm running track. So we have every now and then we get a chance to talk with each other, and we realize that hey man, we're too busy to really be like in a relationship. Then fast forwarding getting married, I think what happened was when I got married, I was so wanting to be married that I really never showed her what my rules were, what my laws were, as far as what I wanted in the sport. I told her that I was training for the Olympics, that I wanted to be an Olympian and things of that nature, but I never made it a requirement. So when things started getting really good and getting going, now I had children coming along at the same time, and now that things are starting to go well, now something is being missed. I'm not as attentive to the children like I should be. I'm not home as much. And when I retired from the sport and then now got into coaching, she thought I was retiring from the sport altogether and not coming back. So coming back to the sport as a coach put more damper on the situation.
Because you were on a collegiate level and professional level.
Yeah, matter
So
of fact, I
you're
was on a professional level first. So now you're talking about working with Nike, working with NFL players. That's how me and CoCo met. Working with people getting ready for the draft. It was time consuming, and they never understood. Nor did I make it an opportunity for her to understand what my world really was. And it led to divorce because I never made her feel safe. I never addressed what she needed. I addressed it what I needed. Yeah.
What do you mean? That's deep. How did you address what you needed?
Because the thing is, when I didn't make the Olympic team, working with guys like CoCo, working with guys like in the NFL, working with Olympians. I'm now actually doing what I want to do, and watching guys like CoCo excel and get better at what they're doing. It was a joy for me. And my wife never seen that. She never knew what that meant what was it like for a guy to get drafted into the NFL. She didn't know what it was like to one of your players is actually in a major movie, playing in the movie what was it?
Safety.
Safety, yeah, thank you. And you get a chance to see it on the other side, because I had to take on the parable of the lion and the lioness. I had to understand what my role as a lion and understand her role as a lioness. And I never provided that part. You know what I'm saying? Not just the safety, but also providing the comfort around as a family man, as a father, as a husband,
Did she, and that's a good point. Did she play any sports at
No,
any level?
no.
See, and that's so people don't understand when you play a sport and for track, I did the 110 hurdles, the long jump, 200, 400 relay. And there's a certain level of commitment that you have. It's a lot of things that track and field can teach you, and in all sports can teach you about life, and I use a lot of that even as a life coach, even as a speaker. I use a lot of what I've learned from sports. Sports is very parallel to life. And it's a certain level of discipline, a certain level of I don't even want to say competition. It's not that. It's doing your best and making sure you're at your best and making sure that you're preparing for your best. I think those are the type of things that you learn in sports. Would you agree, CoCo?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I totally agree. And that's one thing that people really don't understand is that your level of expectation for yourself sometimes overwhelm others in relationship because they don't necessarily see that in themselves. So it's a conflict of interest a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's deep. What would you say to that, Tocatta?
Um, well, Anthony said something about competition. Or did you say something about competition? That's one thing that I had with my ex-husband was he started to compete with me, and it just became a total breakdown of our relationship. Um, and I didn't know how to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I tried to include him and make him a part of my world, but he didn't want anything to do with it. He didn't want to exercise. And people used to say, "Oh, your wife is in great shape. You better catch up," and that just would cause a whole nother problem. People give me compliments and so on. So I had to deal with the competition and then also the jealousy, and it became just too much. I mean,
So, what type of competition? What? Can you give an example?
He started finally exercising, right? And he started doing CrossFit, and that's all he talked about. It was like he didn't tell, no one really knew. All his friends really didn't know that I ran, and here I was third in the world, and so on. He didn't talk about me. All he would talk about is his CrossFit. Now this
That's
guy,
so weird.
he never really exercised, but he had to outdo me. Started doing the mud runs and everything. It was like he was just trying to get this because I was getting a lot of attention. Maybe he was trying to get the attention, and he always had to be the center of attention, no matter what. If a family get together or whatever. So I think that's just what happened. So he's just trying to steal my thunder. And it was the thing was I was proud of him that he was finally exercising, whatever it took, but he didn't see it that way. And I
Yeah.
mean, he was the main breadwinner, and he would threaten not to provide money for certain trips to go run and stuff like that, and it was just and so I think that was one of the things that was a breakdown. But see, I'm also ex police officer, and
You're also what?
ex police officer.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
If I would have read the red flags I was the first in the county, the first black female. So I was already like, uh, everybody held me up to a certain level. And if I would have been paying attention to the type of person he was jealous of that also. So I just didn't pay attention to the red flags, and that was my fault. But it just got worse and worse as I excelled in my track and field. So, and it was a dream for me. I
Yeah.
didn't run in college. I ran in high school, and I had two knee operations, and so I ended up not running in college. So this was a
Mhm.
dream for me. It was like, this is my time.
Yeah.
I qualified to go back to Ohio State and run at my 20th year anniversary, and I had no support from him whatsoever. He didn't go. He didn't even ask how I did, and that's how he did most times. And so it was just uh, draining because he was just a sourpuss every time. I wanted to be happy and come home and tell him how well I did, and he didn't want to hear it. So I had my
And
parents with great support.
I find that so interesting and not shocking
Hmm.
because it's so funny. Like when a man truly loves you, and men can, you guys, I'm not a man. This is just my assumption, experience. So if a man truly loves you, um, and dotes on you, he would be like, "Do you know how fast my wife is? Let me tell you, she's the first this. Let me tell you, she's the third in the world. Let me tell you." And when you got that, he kind of used it against you and held the money against you to not allow you to even go further, almost to kind of like keep you in your place a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. That's a good way. I didn't think of that, but yeah, in a way that was it. And I told him, I said, this is what keeps me sane. You know, so if you take away my running, you know, I'm going to leave. Of course, ended up leaving anyway. That was part of the start of the breakdown. But yeah, I mean, that's probably one reason why I really got into running, was my therapy also.
Yeah, yeah,
And then it just took on a whole nother, once I learned more about master track and field and found out how competitive it is,
yeah,
it just a whole nother meaning to me.
yeah.
So yeah.
So let me ask you all this. So when you're dating or you're getting to a relationship or trying to find love, right? Do you put the sport that you love on the forefront? Do you say, listen, or is it something that comes up gradually? And anyone can answer this. Does it come up gradually? Or is it something that should be talked about in the beginning?
I
Almost like
think
an
in the
expectation,
forefront.
like with CoCo, even with Tocatta saying that she needs somebody who is, into health or into fitness, or because it has to be, because you cannot be with a man that's sitting home on the couch with the remote sitting on top of his stomach.
Right.
Like that's not gonna work.
Right.
That's not gonna work. So is this something that you all talk about in the beginning? Anyone can answer.
I mean,
I
yeah. I mean,
Oh, sorry. Go
for
ahead.
me, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Takata.
No, go ahead.
For me, it's actually you have to bring it up front. You have to tell that person your truth. You know what I'm saying? And they have to make the adjustment. And is that something they're willing to buy into from the beginning? It can't be like a back burner dream that this is what I do on the side. No,
Mm-hmm.
this is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you don't tell that person your truth,
Mm-hmm.
that person can't take ownership in who you are and make an adjustment in a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm. So they need to know up front, like the type of discipline that you have. Would you
Right.
guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I think it's really important for that person, and if you talk about getting on the same page, with somebody, either right now or eventually, I think they need to know certain qualities and certain things about you that they need to understand before going forward. Because if that's something that they can't necessarily handle from the beginning, or they don't necessarily want to get themselves involved in. And
Yeah.
I've been with women, just like Takata said about males. I've been with women and vice versa that are intimidated by my workout regimen, or the
Mm-hmm.
way that I eat, or the way that I pursue my day, and they don't necessarily want to go down that role because they get either
You're
intimidated or
doing
they get
too much. You're doing
yeah,
too
you're
much.
doing
Why
too
you
much.
gotta do all of that? Why you gotta
Yeah,
eat like that? Why you
right,
gotta have
no
your
doubt.
broccoli with no butter and salt on
Right.
it?
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and as an athlete, you do it because you know that you always got certain dates in your head. You got certain things that timelines and deadlines and stuff. We used to that kind of stuff. So in our heads, we're always thinking that it's something that may come up that you need to be ready for. So we're not going to stop what we do because somebody else doesn't necessarily want to be prepared or want to be ready for whatever may come to them. So it gets a little tough. It gets
Oh,
a
that's
little
good.
rigorous.
That's good. Say that again.
Yeah,
It,
no, really, they don't, because they're not as optimistic as we are
yeah,
as athletes. I don't care if you're an ex-athlete or current athlete. The level of optimism that you have for yourself is like none other, and you always want to be prepared for that moment. Even if that moment don't come, you want to be prepared for yourself. You want to look in
yeah,
the mirror at yourself each and
yeah,
every day and say, feel good about how you look, or feel good about what you ate, or how you exercise. So
yeah,
those are personal vendettas that we have with ourselves. So if you're not upfront with who you are as far as those aspects are concerned with a person, they might be getting themselves involved with something that they just can't necessarily live up to. No doubt
yeah.
about it.
And then unfortunately it'll be like Tocatta, like the jealousy or
Yeah.
basically really being envious on, her getting the spotlight or her caring about her body or her making him actually step up to the plate. It's almost like that. It's like you're making him be a better him, and he might not be ready to be a better him, like looking at his health, looking at his body. So it's almost like a polarizing person over here, like by just living your life, like not trying to be
Yeah.
this, but
Right.
you're being
No
this.
doubt.
Do you feel like that sometimes?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you're
It
not
definitely.
me for just being me. This is who I am. Because would you say sports are really like a part? If you've done it on the levels that you all have done it, is it like really a part of life? Like that's
Yeah.
who you are.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't
So
hide it because I train 5 days a week. I eat special for about 10 months out of the year. And so I couldn't keep it a secret because that's what I do. I coach and then I train myself, you know.
yeah,
Uh, so I'm always in workout gear. I'm always, and I can't even hide. I look like an athlete. I walk like an athlete. So I couldn't
yeah,
hide at all, you know.
yeah,
And a guy asked me today, he thought I was a bodybuilder. I'm like, no. But yeah, so excuse me. I always share it with people um or someone that I might be interested in right off the bat. So
yeah. Do you find as a woman, do you find that most men, not just your ex-husband, but most men are intimidated that your body is strong or that your body looks like an athlete?
yes, you know how many times I get uh uh how much do you bench? Let me see if I can bench more than you. And I'm just like, you know, I'm good. I get men do that. They approach me in the gym all the time. And I do think that men are intimidated um, uh, by some fit women, you know, especially at my age, because you don't find too many 50 plus women that are in great shape or still exercising or training or competing at this level.
Yeah,
So
because that's a difference. It's a
yeah,
difference of staying fit, staying healthy,
yeah,
watching what you eat, working out through 30 minutes a day, like they say that you should, like I do, for instance, trying to watch what I eat, trying to remain healthy, trying to do, the exercise. It's totally different than training. It's totally different than what you do, but you're still a woman at the end of the day. You still have the softness. You still have that. Do you find that it's difficult for somebody just to see you as a girl?
yeah, yeah. I'm always
You know
being
what I
pushed.
mean?
Yeah. So
Yeah, and that's so interesting. So let me see. Rich says, I still get my workout on 3 days a week, not as hardcore as I used to, but I still get it in, still can hang with the young bulls in the gym. And he's 51 as well. It's so interesting because, like you said, this is the time that we need to really worry about the quality of life and not the quantity. Anthony, so with your ex-wife or your relationships, or trying to have relationships within this culture, because you're still coaching, you're still heavily involved in sports, you're still heavily involved in athletes, or like on the day-to-day basis, you're still making strides in this industry with these athletes still today, 50 plus, right? You transition from being an athlete yourself to being around athletes and to train athletes, and it's still the culture of it. What are you finding now in this dating world? Are you even in a position that you even want to date?
Yeah, I'm dating. I mean, I'm actually seeing someone right now, but the difference is that I have come to understand, and I know that Tocatta and CoCo could probably assist to this, that there is a certain radical acceptance, even you, Kendell, that you accept as being an athlete. You know, there's a possibility you can lose. There's a possibility you can win. But the thing that comes with it is the thing that you want to do. This is who you are, you know. And in dating, it's like when you're with someone and dating and being around people, things like that, they have to understand this is not, I'm not changing who I am. I can't stop being this person.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm sharing with CoCo, or if I'm sharing with Tocatta about different things that we talk about in the sport and in this industry, and in the dating world, is that we're different people, you know. And when you have radical acceptance, you accept things for what it is. You don't make excuses. You don't talk about what you could have done, what you used to do. No, this is what we're going to do. This is how it has to happen. This is how it's going to work, you know. And the thing is that I don't worry about losing anymore. I don't worry about the rejection anymore. So the rejection has changed from the position of, if that person's going to be with me, that person's going to be with me. Period. You know, you don't have to overachieve. And the thing is, I didn't want to lose the relationship when I was married. That's the hard part. I didn't want to lose the relationship. By losing the relationship, meaning like I got to give up something of me in order to keep them. And privately, I'm actually getting ready to accept the situation now in a position where I chose something that I got exactly what I want, but I didn't.
Anthony, you went out. So, CoCo, let me ask you this. So, have you ever dated a professional athlete?
I've never dated a professional athlete. But I can't. No, I haven't. I surely haven't. And it's crazy because you would think that
Right.
that would have been have been the case, but for some reason I kind of go for the opposite, thinking that that's going to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because I think Anthony said something earlier, and he said something about schedules being a conflict of interest when you talk
yeah,
about dating an athlete,
yeah,
and, and that's one of those things that once you finish practice or once you finish weight room sessions and stuff like that, you want somebody that has the time for you and don't
right. You don't
necessarily
want
have
them
the
to be going into their session.
yeah
You
yeah
both, yeah, because
so
you never
so
want to find the time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's kind of conflicting. So I've always found myself dating somebody that was outside of sports or the sports realm, because I figured that time was one of the most important things when it comes to a relationship. And if you're not spending time with someone, then what are you really building?
Right.
So, but as I've gotten older, I train too. I'm a personal trainer as well,
Hmm.
and I did. I do find myself more interested in women that really take care of themselves and take care of their bodies and have goals, because working out and being an athlete is more than just the physical, what you do on just that present day. It's about knowing that somebody in their mind, they have goals or have ambition or have something else that they necessarily are working towards. So that's
Mm-hmm.
attractive when it comes to the opposite sex. So when I got into training after college, I was able to see another side of women that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see before, because I'm used to just training around men. So
Mm.
seeing that, yes, so seeing that woman that comes in the gym and goes hard, or seeing that woman that
Tocatta.
has really pays attention to themselves and their body and they have goals, now that becomes what you're looking for, and not necessarily always easy to find, but that's what you're looking for when it comes to the ideal person, no doubt.
See, Tocatta, you need somebody like CoCo just to be a little like 20
Look,
years older.
look, how fit is your father?
So,
Yeah.
How
so,
fit is your father, Coco? Tocatta said, how fit
so
is your
what
father?
what you saying? What you saying again?
I said, how fit is your father?
I don't think he heard you. You said, how fit
What you
is
saying?
your father? Do you have a fit father, or uncle, or a big cousin?
My dad is a little older. He's in his mid 60s, but he's still in
Dang.
great shape. I come from a good family. We were all pretty much athletes and have a good bloodline. But no, it's just something that we took pride in from an early age, and I think it's something that sticks with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's so interesting. What about you? As high level as you've gotten and you continue to get Tocatta, have you ever met, even outside of your former marriage, like anybody who was an athlete? And would
Uh,
you date another athlete?
yeah, yes. Not in track and field. We're like a family. I mean, I just can't see myself dating somebody else in track and field. But I dated a guy that heavily worked out, but he was still jealous. I had ran the fastest time in the world, and he was worried about everybody in the world wanting me. And I'm like, really? All 5,000 masters athletes, really? And so yeah, I still had the jealousy, and that was my after I was uh, out of my marriage. That was the first relationship I had, and I was like, I thought by dating someone who was very fit and I mean very handsome and everything else, he was still very jealous. So of
But
course,
that's something that women, and let me ask the men, because I think that that's so unfair, because I don't think men get that. I don't think, I'm sure they get the women being jealous, but I don't. And men, you answer this. Do women get the same way that the men get with Tocatta?
Um, Me and Tocatta was talking about this earlier today, and we were talking about Serena Williams. We were talking about um, what's the girl, Allison Felix. That certain men that are athletes that come from that background that may have a girlfriend or a wife that's 2 times, 3 times better than them from a competitive standpoint. It takes a special type of dude to take a backseat and not feel
Mm-hmm.
intimidated that
That's
she's
true.
ranked in the world.
That's true.
Okay. It takes a special man to have the kind of sense. I remember Al Joyner. Everybody was talking about FloJo, how pretty she was, how fast she was. Al Joyner was an Olympic gold medalist in
Yeah.
triple jump, but nobody knew him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in the track and field world, everybody knew him, but in the
Mm-hmm.
world, nobody knew who Al Joyner was.
Mm-hmm.
They just knew FloJo.
That's a good example.
And one
right.
thing that we were talking about this, and like Allison Felix,
And even Jackie Joyner and her husband.
right?
Well,
Bobby Kersey, and they may be
mm-hmm.
still going at it. It takes a
Mm-hmm.
special kind of guy to
Mm-hmm.
understand that their girl is that good,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't take away
But
the
do you see how he
relationship.
celebrated her? And that's what I was talking about to Tocatta. Like, he celebrated her. Like, you wouldn't even know the accolades in the records and that he had sometimes, because when he was supporting her FloJo, let's just say,
Yeah.
He was in the background and he seemed to love it. He pushed her forward all the
Right.
time.
And that goes
Right.
back to what we were saying about I had to understand what the lion and the lioness understanding. If a lion understands that the lioness goes out and hunt, that means she's that good at what she's doing hunting because
Yeah.
she's not fast.
Yeah.
You know, she can't kill the way a lioness can kill. And but he relaxes, still keeps his humbleness and understand his role as a lion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She still needs protection. She still needs him to make sure everything is good around the pride. But when you walking around saying I got all this hair around my face, I'm the lion, you need to tell it makes it looks bad because he doesn't have self-sufficiency in
So does the
himself.
woman have to be out of shape, heavy, not really having goals for the man to put her in the position where that now she looks like she needs protection, now she looks like she needs love? Like, you can't look strong physically and mentally,
If
and
he doesn't understand who he is, it's a problem.
yeah.
But if a man is self-sufficient and he's done his due diligence, he knows he's a man, he knows what he's doing and what he's accomplished within his own self, doesn't have to worry about what door she goes through.
Yeah.
Because he's already went through his own door.
That's deep. So when I think about, let's talk about the movie Love and Basketball for a moment. And we have Monica and we have Q, right? They're both athletes in high school. They know that they want to be eventually in the pros. They're college athletes doing great. They're together in a relationship. And then we all know what happens in the movie. Quincy pretty much asked her to choose because she wants to start in the game and he's having difficulties in his personal life with his father. He finds out the father was cheating. He finds out, all the stuff that he finds out about his father. They're out there out on the bleachers, and she's trying to listen to what he has to say because he is hurting. He's not thinking about sports at that point because sports was a thing that he and his father had. So he's not even thinking about that. He's thinking about the hurt that he has. But even though Monica is the girlfriend, I'm doing this all by memory. I didn't see this movie way too. But so he's on the bleachers. They're on the bleachers, and we know what happens. She's like, I gotta get back because the curfew. If I break curfew, then I won't be starting. And even though I love you, even though I care about you, this is pretty much my first love because I'm thinking about, even though I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about my game tomorrow. I'm thinking about that I want to start. I'm thinking about my future. So even though you're my future too, do you think that she thought that he would understand because he's an athlete, as she stated? Or do you feel like love should have taken the front seat in that situation? Anyone can go.
Well, I think personally in that situation, especially when you two when you're two in love in college, and I know that's a little different, especially at that age. You have other responsibilities and things that you really have to cater to as well in order for you to keep whatever lifestyle or whatever you're doing going. So in that scene, which was a very strong scene because it seemed like they were choosing one another, but in a sense, you had to choose what was necessary. And in that moment, what was necessary for her to continue to stay there and to continue to stay at school and continue to stay able to be out and in school with her and person that she loves, she had to go, so she got to go to practice so she won't get kicked out. So what I'm saying is certain decisions have to be made in love. And sometimes it's more sacrificial than anything else. But if she don't make that sacrifice, then they can continue what they're doing as far as moving forward, as far as building what they're trying to build. Even though he didn't understand that in the moment, because it seems like in that moment, somebody should be just as selfish about you as you are about yourself, especially when you talk about turmoil. But like women usually do, they make the better and the more responsible decision, in which she had to make in order to protect her own self. So you can't blame anybody for doing that, because as athletes, especially at a young age, we were all in a position where we were intimidated by the coach. Didn't want to get kicked off the team or kicked out of school, and at the same time, we were all trying to move up in the rankings. So
Mm-hmm.
that becomes more important at the time than anything else that you have going on in your life, even though it comes a close second. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Tocatta, do you think if it were the other way around and he decided, how do you think that would have spun? If it was the other way around, she was going through it and he wanted to start. Do you think that she would have broken up with him or went out with another guy or acted out in that kind of way? How do you think that would have played out if it were reversed?
Lots of times the woman follows the man. Not all the time, but most of the time. The thing is this, it's hard for me to think of that, because if one loves the other, you're going to support them. When you know that it's something that they really love, I truly believe that support is needed. And although they were young, and I understand that, but at our age, support is important.
Yeah.
But nowadays, we talk about Tom Brady and his wife. She supported him for 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
And at the time he's saying, okay, I'm gonna retire. And then finally he did retire for what, 30 days or something like that.
30 minutes.
And so she left, but she did support him. She tried to support him all those years, and then, they came to agreement. And then he reneged on that agreement. She's like, I can't do this anymore. So you can't fault her, because she has been supporting him big time. I mean, she hasn't been doing a whole lot of modeling and all her little other side things that she does, because she's been watching the kids and stuff while he trains and competes. So, you can't fault her for that. And so most times women will support for the long haul. And so if roles were reversed, I have a feeling that she would have dropped what she was doing and followed him. So
yeah, I see that. And bringing up Tom Brady and Giselle, that is a good point. And she left and she was just spotted with somebody else.
Oh, really?
But I just saw something like this week. I was like, oh, okay, they move on fast. But because he made the promise to her, like you said, to be able to, now it's her turn. And a lot of times when you get into relationships, it's almost like taking turns. Like, okay, I'm going to support you with this degree. I'm going to support you with this job. I'm going to support you with this, this team, and, and allow you to do that. And then it has to come around to me where now all the support comes. So that never came. And like you said, she stopped doing her modeling and her acting and doing what she was doing to support him and to raise the children, only to, when it was time for hers to come, he decided to go back into the sport. Do you think sometime that the sport, like or New Jack City, it was calling you, like it'll call you back? Like, do you feel like once you're into sports in a professional level, high level, that you cannot not think about or do sports or be a part of it in some way?
I've been saying I'm gonna retire.
So
I can't hear you. Can you hear me, CoCo?
yeah, I get you.
Okay, yeah, I can't hear you. She doesn't see. I can't hear you. No.
Can you hear me now?
But what do you think, CoCo? I can hear you definitely. But what do you think if it were reversed? If it was reversed and she had to decide, I know you talked about that. You think that she would have been able to if it would have reversed, would he have gone to bed, so curfew, so he could play the next game? Or do you think that he would have been there to support her?
I don't necessarily think, I totally don't think that he would have been, I ain't gonna say been there to support. I don't think he would have been there to support her how she wanted him to. I think he would have made the effort to do so based off of what he could do. based off what
Yeah.
he could do. But I don't think he would have just dropped everything that he had going, especially being such a
Yeah.
profound athlete, so popular, so well known. Especially, he did it. He did it as soon as they got there. She had to work for hers. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
That's true.
he was already in a position that,
Yeah.
yeah. So he was already in a very popular position as soon
He
as he
was
got to
already
school.
the
So
man.
him giving
Yeah.
ex, exactly. So him giving that up would have been a lot harder, and as a male would have been totally different and unparalleled than what he probably would have necessarily chose to do because he was already in a position of power, already in a position of popularity to where she really had to go through trials and tribulation and really work for the position and spot that she had. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So no,
That's
I
deep.
don't think I don't necessarily. Yeah, I don't think he would have. If the role was reversed, I don't think he would have gave that up. Just to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think both of them would have chose the same thing?
Yes, I
Like,
do. Yes, I do.
yeah. And that's the mind of an
I
athlete. Let's be real.
exactly.
That's why it's very rare. We talked about Jackie Joyner and we talked about FloJo, but it's not. It's common in some areas of sports, but in some, like I don't see, like in track and field, it seems like it's a little more common. But then when you think about basketball, you have some NBA and WNBA. I'm trying to think, like Lisa Leslie, her husband, didn't he play pro ball as well? He played pro basketball. I'm trying to think. And of course, football, we already know, but I don't see a lot of couples in those sports. Softball, baseball, I see it more in track and field. So I don't know what it is about track and field. Is it the training time, you think? Is the time that, everybody is kind of grouped together? What do you think is the difference?
The most important difference about track and field is that we go to the same events together. So it's not like when we were in high school, Kendell, where y'all went to a track meet when y'all were home. While we were away, y'all were home. We didn't have in college and pro, everybody comes to the same invitational. So you're around each other a lot more, at the same events. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is that you may be with someone that's your
Pin
actual training
relays. You
partner.
were only together the pin relays.
Yeah, you might have that person as your training partner in your camp. It wouldn't have been that hard if me and Tocatta would have had the same coach with the same age group, being at the same events. That's how you meet people, at the same events,
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this about support. How important is support when it comes to what you're doing? We touched on it a little bit, but when it comes to what you're doing, and I want to go into CoCo, I want to go into your movies because it was the first movie, if I'm not mistaken, was a sports movie.
Yes, it
Safety,
was safety on
right?
Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going to ask you this, but I want to ask this first. How important is it to have support? Even in the movie Love and Basketball, we see when Monica's in the kitchen with her mom and she talks about the support. She talks about how her mom wasn't at the games, or she talks about even when Q was dating, they didn't know how many points he scored, but Monica knew how many points he scored, and that kind of to get you to the next game or the next level, or to fuel you. How important is that when you're an athlete, to be fueled by friends and family?
It's very important. Very important.
Yeah. Would you gentlemen say the same?
Oh, absolutely. And the unfortunate part is you don't want to get so internalized that you become so driven that you become your biggest fan. That you support yourself so well. And we can go back a little bit. When my mom came to my track meet, my dad never came to my events. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, when you get into a relationship, it's almost like you push that person away. If you're not careful, you can push your loved one away because you don't want them to interrupt what you have going on as an athlete. You don't want the distraction. You don't want the negativity that could potentially be there, opposed to let that person in and being the best that they can be and supporting you,
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I look at stuff. Well, Rich, I don't know if you're still on. If you're still on, say something in the comments. But not only was I was an athlete, um, but I also was a manager of my college basketball team. And let me tell you, the men's basketball team. So that right there was something totally different. Being able to be the girl amongst the guys and see how they operated in love. I don't think I would have called it love back then from what I was seeing. But operating and seeing how two sides of it, how they trained, how much time was spent in practice, how many times they couldn't date certain women that wanted them to date them, how many times it was multiple women that wanted to date them, how many times that people just hung around and trying to get close to the people that know them, including me as a manager and other things, to try to get them. That's what do you call that? Because that's not love, but what do you call when some of these athletes have the option to get this one and that one, or all of them at the same time? Have you seen a lot of that in your sport?
No, not too much at this level. I mean,
Yeah.
it is happening. And a lot of us are married. Well, not me, but a lot of them are married, and they have track wives or husbands. So they use sometimes these meets to meet up. So it does happen at my level, but for the most part, you don't really have too much of that.
Yeah.
Where everybody's trying to date 2, 3 different women from different camps and states and all that kind of stuff. So
Would you say that's more like a college? Well, I can't even see, because at professional, when we think about professional basketball and professional football, we know the headlines. So we know it's not even just a college thing. Is it
yeah.
that when you become an athlete, and maybe the men can speak to this, when you become an athlete, and I'm not talking about always quality, but do the women seem to flock and to love that?
Let me say this. Let's talk about football real quick. When I was coaching with Nike football, and you'd be surprised, being a coach, let's go with that women wanting you to train their child for free. So, I stopped going to parents' houses, man, just for that reason. That no, I'm not coming there. I'll meet you at Panera Bread, or I'll meet you at the office or something like that, but I'm not going to the house, because you meet a lot of single
They wanted to
parents.
date you. They wanted
Yes,
to offer this for that. Is that what you're saying?
yes.
Wow.
No, I'm like, I don't do house calls. When I train an athlete, I meet them at a neutral place. And I'm glad during the time when I was with Nike football that I was married, because it could have got out of hand.
Wow. So it was, and it's so interesting because I guess too, when you get if you have single women and you have this child and you have these kind of plans for them, and you may not have the income, or you might be single, and you see somebody taking interest in your children, that could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well, what about you? I get that. You can see that, right, Tocatta?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that a lot. It's so interesting. I want to make sure CoCo gets on, because as we come to a close, I want to talk about movies, But how did you guys meet? I know you said that you talked about it a little earlier. How did you all meet in sport?
Who's that?
You and Tocatta.
Oh, we met at a track meet.
Yeah, probably my first year out. What was that 2010, 2011, something
Yeah,
like that.
it's
So
been it's been a hot minute,
yeah.
and I was I was ending my track career as running. She was starting, and I'm like, man, I would love to get back into it. Now I'm already into coaching. I'm in the beginning stage of my coaching for track and field.
Mm-hmm.
And we met in Charlotte at a big meet in Charlotte when I had some pro athletes that were running, and she was competing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then, all right. So I want to like when I think about track and field, and I think about a lot of the analogies that I use, like even like I said, as a life coach, and when I go to speak to crowds, I often talk about staying in your lane, right? And not worrying about who's on the right of you and who's on the left of you, but just running your race. And your main focus needs to be that finish line. How are you able to relate track and field to real life?
Mm. Well, for one, it keeps you disciplined as an athlete. Period. So the sport doesn't really matter, but track for me just keeps me disciplined on eating, my time. I mean, I have to schedule my time, and I have a little bit of window get here and there, or to do this, or if I'm gonna train somebody, I just have to map out everything. So every day I have to look at my schedule, make sure if you throw something at me, if I can fit it in, you know. Um, so excuse me. And that's almost all year round. I'm like that. I have downtime, which is September. August and September is my
Hmm.
downtime, and I'm back at it October through July,
Yeah.
and just very regimented. And so I'm in one lane for 10 months out of the year, and I do not like to veer out of it. It bothers me when something comes up. Everybody knows I train, these days at this time because it's almost the same all year round. And I get a little unnerved when I have to change plans or look. My daughter got in an accident like 3 weeks ago, and we ended up on the side of the road waiting for police and everything. And I ended up not being able to train. And that was one of the first things she said to me. She's like, "Mom, I'm sorry that you have to miss your training. I know how you are with your training." I'm just like, "Look, baby, I'm glad you're not hurt, but I mean, that's my children know how important it is
Yeah.
to me. No,
Yeah.
so yeah."
I love that. Anthony, how can you relate? Welcome back, CoCo. I want to ask you about safety for sure.
Yeah.
How, Anthony, can you relate sports to life? What's the analogy that you can use, or how has sports helped you kind of understand life or life situations? Like I talked about staying in your lane and really focusing on that finish line.
Oh, we
Thing
can't
for
hear.
me
Okay.
was not making the Olympic team, but the
Hmm.
consolation prize was getting having an opportunity to coach professional athletes, college athletes.
Hmm.
But what it did was it gave me the perspective of just because you didn't make it doesn't mean that life is over. You
Hmm.
have information to share with other people that are up and coming. And I remember when CoCo was up and coming, and like, okay, I'm like, wow, man, you ready to do something special. I'm really liking this. I mean, I'll let him talk about it if he wants to talk about it, but he had a life changing situation that could have stopped all of what we're talking about right now. And he made the biggest comeback of his life by doing it and being disciplined, not accepting no, and doing what he needed to do to have that. I got a chance to witness my athletes make a decision that I'm not going to let nobody tell me I can't make it or I can't do it. And having the opportunity to witness that changed my life because you're there to help people get to the next level, but then you get a chance to watch them make a decision for themselves. and they have their own why, and you get the chance to watch that. So life has shown me is that in perspective is that, man, you can help people, you can guide them, but you get a chance to watch them make a decision, the right decision, and go on in life and do more things that they thought they couldn't do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I mean that's one of the biggest things that I got a chance to see. I get a chance to see kids do it over and over and over again, and me just being a guide. You
Yeah.
know,
Do you almost is that as rewarding? Because that seemed like that would be very rewarding when you look at
I've
CoCo.
experienced the greatest sport, and this sport is done good to me more as a coach than as an athlete.
Mm, love that.
You know what I'm saying? Because I did some great things. I had a ball running track. I enjoyed what I got a chance to run for the number 2 ranked college in the country, but I never got a chance to get to the goal that I wanted to get to. But I got there as a coach. I got a chance to do everything I wanted to do in the sport as a coach.
I
You
love
know,
that. I
and
love that.
it's the greatest reward because I'm self-sufficient. I'm satisfied, and I
Yeah.
didn't have to tear anybody down to get there.
Yeah. And just seeing somebody young fulfilling their dream and you being, a
Yeah,
name that they can mention, a name that they can think about that helped them, reach a certain point in their career. How, and I want to ask CoCo, how has Anthony being part of your journey affected your life?
Tremendously. I'll tell you, I met Anthony my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year in college, and we had a goal. We had this goal set out to be, not only get bigger, faster, stronger, but to create a mentality of what he's talking about right now, squeezing the most out of my ability that I could squeeze out of it. As soon as I met Anthony, I knew that he was the kind of guy that was going to coach not only, like I said, speed and agility, but he was going to coach the potential. He was going to coach getting everything that I could get out of myself to be the best that I could be when it comes to being ready for Saturday evening or Saturday night. So that kind of guy, being that kind of guy, leads to our relationship right now, in
Yeah.
which he calls me right now and wants me to do something or wants me to be involved with something that he has going on. And it's easy to do because you know the kind of person that you're getting involved or being involved
Yeah.
with because
Yeah.
of that relationship. So, and just like he said, the thing that you learn in football is the lifelong journey, or learning sports is the life, because those things you will never leave you. Father
Yeah.
Time is going to get us all. We are not going to be able to perform with the same ability that we did when we were 20 or
Yeah.
25, or whatever the case may be. But the lesson that you learn and the people that you learn from will never leave you, because those are the things that you continue to apply in your everyday life,
Yeah.
even when it's not about sports. So
Yeah.
those lessons are continuously being used or continuously being stretched out on the yearly and the daily basis. And so
Yeah.
that's how you connect with people like Anthony. That's how you connect with those lessons that you learn along the way. That's why you play sports, is to be prepared for life. And that's what people don't really talk about as much as we should.
Yeah.
Yes.
I totally
Yeah.
agree. I love that. All right, CoCo, let's talk about from pro football to acting and safety and all the other movies on Disney Plus. That's big.
It's big. It's big. It's
That's
big.
big. How did
Yeah.
you transition from professional football player to, and I love that your first movie is a sports movie. How did that transition go?
Well, the transition came from just being optimistic and putting myself out there to be ready for each and every opportunity that came. I started off early on in my career as far as acting, just doing background work, things called sports choreography, real low, low stress. It was just about being an extra, but
Mhm.
me being myself and the person that I am, the first time I got behind the scenes and got behind the camera, I always look to the people that's doing it at the highest level as somebody that I can look up to, and eventually somebody that I want to be. So after that first time being on set, it just wouldn't leave my mind that I could do that too. I've always had this I can do that too
Mhm.
kind of sense or kind of ability or kind of sense of nature
Mhm.
when it comes to anything in life. And sometimes I'm too overly optimistic to actually, believe in myself. But that literally catapult you into an area of
Mhm.
trying things that you usually just wouldn't try.
Mhm.
And make a long story short, I got really close and got a real relationship with the company that I was working with, and they began to like my morale. They began to like my camaraderie with the other guys in the relationships that I was starting to build on and off set. So they offered me a few auditions and
Mhm.
things of that nature. And I decided to go for it. I decided to go for it just like anything else, just like sports, just like love, just like relationship. I just decided just to dive in. And and make a long story short, it happened to work out for the best because I got casted in that movie based off of just my originality, my genuosity, what I brought across the audition screen, and the director really, really took a hold to it and thought I was really authentic, and and he put me in a role that I mean I wouldn't think in 1,000 years that I would get that early on in my career, and I tell you that taught me so much about having the ability to step outside of what I naturally do, which is sports. It gave me the possibility that I could do anything in life and I could accomplish anything that I really set my mind to really do. Because you don't really know that until you actually pull that off,
Yeah.
especially as an athlete, because you're so used to everything being about ball, everything being about track, everything being about this system that's created in your mind of success, but it's through sports. But when you actually step out of that realm and you see yourself shine and you see yourself on a stage or you see yourself in a light that you necessarily didn't even think that could possibly happen for you. I tell you, it's one of the best feelings that I've ever had in my life. And I'm just truly blessed to continue to be able to perfect my craft, continue to move forward in this career. And it's something that I can do forever. Unlike sports, it's something I can continue to grow. It's something that I can continue to hone my skills. I can get better and better at each and every year. It has no age limit. And I'm just blessed to be able to say that I'm a thespian now. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So when it's time for the red carpet or they needed somebody to interview you, don't forget the small people. Don't forget the small people.
No,
When it's time to do that, what are you
yeah.
working on? What are you working on next? I'm proud of you. I really
Oh,
am.
thank you, thank you. I just got finished about 2 weeks ago on November 5th. I just finished my first stage play, major stage play, down here, right down here in Augusta at the Imperial Theater. We sold it out.
Nice.
So it's packed out crowd, and out of that, me and the rest of my cast members, we really, I mean, really killed it, and everybody was really happy with the performance. We're talking about taking it on the road. I just
I
got
was going
another
to ask
stage
you that.
play. Yeah, just got another stage play offer here in Augusta. But that one that I just did was called Build a Man, and I was the main character in it. And I tell you,
Oh,
yeah, it's just crazy how things like snowball, but it snowballs because you put your best foot forward each
come
and every
on.
time, each and every opportunity. So somebody that's watching, that's coming behind you, is going to ask you to do it based off the prowess of your good work. And seeing the result of that, it's just as gratifying as winning a national championship or state championship because somebody recognized you for your hard work and what you put in
I
and what you
love
bring.
that. Let me
Yeah,
tell you something. We can go as far back as Jim Brown. We can take it all the way up. There are a lot of professional athletes who have made huge careers in television, movies, and
yeah,
film.
Mhm.
yeah.
Plenty. You have a
It's a lot.
lot. Who is
It's a
somebody
lot.
that you can think of right now that you'd be like, okay, they were where I was, and now look at them? You got
Uh,
anybody?
Yeah, yeah, like you said, plenty of guys like you got. I mean, now everybody's looking up to people like Deion Sanders and people that's really changing the perspective of who they used to be and really transforming
Mm,
into somebody else. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? One of my most you know happy things to see right now, especially with what Deion Sanders is doing down in Jackson State. Not
yeah,
only not
amazing.
only not only is he showing black love, but he's showing black transition,
Come
meaning
on.
that not only did he show that he can transition from something like, a commentator, an athlete, now to a college
A global
football coach.
athlete.
But
Yeah.
he's showing, yeah, yeah, a global athlete. He's showing now not only that, but he's showing the HBCUs and the smaller colleges that their ability to transition is just as big or just as transcending as the ones that's on the highest level. Because if
Yeah.
you can do it in your small towns and communities, and you can do it to represent our black culture, the
Yes.
expectation now has heightened and the attention is heightened for these universities to start adding the right amenities, to to start making sure they prepare for the population and the culture that's coming behind. Because ain't nobody gonna send nobody to these schools if the amenities and the things ain't right.
Come on.
But what Deion Sanders is doing is he's showing that transformation and transition is key to success. And I think we all have to do that, no doubt.
I think that was well said, and I totally agree. What he's doing over at Jackson State, and just even having the kind of mentorship, even the conversations, even when Takeoff just passed away. I don't know if you saw that video while he was talking to the boys. He was like, "We're getting ready to go to Houston. I'm gonna keep you guys in." Just even the mentorship, and almost like a father to those that don't have a father, or even if they do have a father, like it's much bigger than sports with him. And he is definitely becoming an asset. And I love the fact that he is going viral a lot of times by changing the narrative and doing the right thing. My whole YouTube channel is about changing the narrative when it comes to Black people and showing different programming and not just the same things that go viral, the foolishness, but the real, the authentic things that we need to do for us and our communities and kind of raise the vibration when it comes to us. So I'm all here for that. And absolutely, that's a good example. What do you have going on next? Thank you, CoCo. What do you have going on next, Tocatta?
Well, I'm coaching, and we are now in base training for track. Cross country just ended last week. So now we're doubling down on base training for our upcoming season next spring. So
nice.
That's next. And as far as me competing, I won't be. You know what? The kids want me to run with them, so I may end up competing with them in a couple of meets next year. We'll see. But most
you
times,
can do it.
Yeah. But it's hard to coach at the same time when I'm competing. But I was honored though they asked me. I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
But most times, Masters, we're from May until the end of July usually. So that's usually when I'm competing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might run with them. So we'll see.
You gotta keep me posted.
Okay. I'm going for the world record in the 400. Last year I got the record in the 400, so now I'm going for the world record. That's my new race. I just picked it up last year.
Come on now.
So yeah, we'll see.
That's awesome. Keep representing for us 50 and over women. Keep on doing it. That's beautiful Black women over 50. Keep doing it. And I'm an aging coach as well. So I'm a transformational coach, healing and aging coach. To encourage everybody to age fearlessly. That's my platform. So you're a prime example of that. So I might have to talk to you about some other things that I'm working on, because you really are a prime example of what I talk about and what I like to showcase. So thank you. Thank you for being exactly. I said it again.
I would love to do that. I go to like senior citizen type of get-togethers and youth sports, and I do like nutrition, but I usually have the parents asking me how to eat for health and so on, because I do eat special, and I love to share that with people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So definitely, I'll definitely keep in touch. I'm serious to talk about some things. Everybody on here, actually, I'm thinking about some things as we're talking. I'm liking what I'm hearing. Even you, CoCo, I like what I'm hearing. I like what you're doing. Anthony, what are you working on now?
Well, now
I know we're working on something together.
Yeah, we're working on something together. And that's going to be a phenomenal thing that you can get a chance to talk to some of the friends that we have on the panel here now.
I was thinking that. Do you want to give a teaser? Do you want to give anything or no?
We're going to hold it. We're going to give it as a teaser. You know what I mean? We'll put it as a teaser.
Do you want to
CoCo already knows what it is. I think Tocatta already knows what it is.
But do you want to give just
go ahead, give him a tidbit.
Documentary. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay.
CoCo, you know what this is. We'll get on that later. We'll talk about that. Tocatta, same thing.
All right.
But I am in a position right now. I'm looking to transition to a full-time position in the coaching industry, and and also with the working with athletes over the summer. We're going to be doing some camps and things of that nature, speaking engagements, just being my best self, just taking the opportunity to present itself and have opportunity to help kids more, and being able to do it as full time.
Yeah. I love that. I thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this CoCo Anthony Tocatta. I appreciate it so much. My channel is about education, elevation, and entertainment. It's all about changing the narrative when it comes to us and spotlighting something different. Same old conversations all over the internet, but I want to spark conversation in different ways. If you all are watching and this is your first time tuning into my channel, welcome. Thank you so much. It's important that you subscribe when something is positive out there. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like, comment, share. It's very important that you do that as a YouTuber. That's really important. And if you like what you see here, definitely check out my playlist, my Kendell Lenice Live playlist, and you will see the other panels that I have on as well. But I guarantee you're going to see these faces again some way or another on this channel as well. Y'all, I thank you so much for taking the time tonight to talk about love and sports. Thank you for being vulnerable and open with your stories.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll
Thank
see you
you
later.
so much. Everybody, thank you so much for watching Kendell Lenice Live. This is the panel. We talked about love and basketball sort of in real life. We touched on the movie, but we also touched on what these wonderful people experience with high level sports and love. And you heard some of their intimate stories. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you are a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.